August 24th, 1957. The Islamic World. New York, Amsterdam News. Continued from previous article. As Mr. Yaqub continued to preach for converts, he told his people he would make the others work for them. This promise came to pass. Naturally, there are always some people around who would like to have others do their work. Those are the ones who fell for Mr. Yaqub's teachings, 100%. As he made converts in and around the holy city Mecca, persecution set in. The authorities became afraid of such powerful teachings, with promises of luxury and making slaves of others. As they began making arrests of those who believed the teachings, the officers would go back and find, to their surprise, others still teaching and believing it. Finally, they arrested Mr. Yaqub, but it only increased the teachings. They kept persecuting and arresting Yaqub's followers until they filled all the jails. The officers finally reported to the king that there was no room to put a prisoner in if arrested. All the jails are filled, and when we go out into the streets, we find them still teaching. What shall we do with them? The king questioned the officers on just what the teachings were and of the name of the leader. The officers gave the king the answers to everything. The king said, "This is not the name of that man." Yaqub was going in an assumed name. The king said, "Take me to this man." On entering the prison, the king was shown Yaqub's cell. The king said, "Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Yaqub." Yaqub said, "Wa alaikum salam." The king said, "So you are Mr. Yaqub?" He said, "Yes, I am." The king said, "Yaqub, I have come to see if we could work out some agreement that would bring about an end to this trouble. What would you suggest?" Mr. Yaqub told the king, "If you give me and my followers everything to start civilization as you have, and furnish us with money and other necessities of life, general care, for 20 years, I will take my followers and we will go from you." The king was pleased with the suggestion or condition made by Yaqub, and agreed to take care of them for 20 years until Yaqub's followers were able to go for themselves. After learning who Mr. Yaqub was, they all were afraid of him and were glad to make almost any agreement with him and his followers. The history or future of Mr. Yaqub and his people was in the nation's book by the writers, 23 scientists of our history, 8,400 years before his birth. So, the government began to make preparation for the exiling of Mr. Yaqub and his followers. The king ordered everyone rounded up who was a believer in Mr. Yaqub. They took them to the seaport and loaded them on ships. After rounding them all up into ships, they numbered 59,999 people. Yaqub made 60,000. Their ships sailed out to an isle in the Aegean Sea called Pilan, Bible, Patmos. After they were loaded into the ships, Mr. Yaqub examined each of them to see if they were 100% with him, and to see if they were all healthy and productive people. If not, he would throw them off. Some were found to be unfit, and overboard they went. When they arrived at the isle, Mr. Yaqub said to them, "See how they, the holy people, have cast us out? Now, if you will choose me to be your king, I will teach you how to go back and rule them all." Of course, they had already chosen Yaqub to be their king at the very start. So, Yaqub chose doctors, ministers, nurses, and a cremator for his top laborers. He called these laborers together and told them his plan for making a new people who would rule for 6,000 years. He called the doctor first and said, "Doctor, let all the people come to you who want to marry, and if there comes to you 2 real black ones, take a needle and get a little of their blood and go into your room and pretend to be examining it to see whether their blood would mix. Then Come and tell them that they will have to find another mate, because their blood does not mix. It was the aim of Yaqub to get rid of the black, and he did. Give them a certificate to take to the minister, warning the minister against marrying the couple because their blood does not mix. When there comes to you 2 browner ones, take a pretended blood test of them, but give them a certificate saying that they are eligible to be married. Hurry and lose not time in joining on to your own kind. The time of this world is at hand.
We're the singers and players of instruments, the ones that you fear would come one day. The world is in trouble. Wake up, we're running out of time. We only need Allah to take refuge. Brother, did you know our Savior has arrived? Sister, did you know He's in the world and He's alive? A new world is coming. The new ruler is here.